department. If the board had the time, it might be worthwhile to have a, have a working session with the department heads.
I think Mr. Byrnes or somebody, or Pastor Terenzi, indicated what a 1% increase in compensation would do to the. What is the number that Mr. Byrnes you gave us?
11,000.
1% is 11,000. That's only on salary, nothing to do with benefits.
Nothing to do with benefits. So, right.
Across the board.
Pretty much across the board, about 11,000 increase in the budget for every 1%.
Okay.
Well, if the board, we have a work session for Rydtown Park on Saturday morning, December 11th, correct?
Yes.
At what time?
Well, we're scheduling it for 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. And what's our expectation for how long that will last? An hour and a half, let's say.
2 hours tops, probably.
I mean, if the board wanted to meet, this board wanted to meet with the department heads, we could either schedule it for 8:30 ahead of that meeting, or we could schedule it for after that meeting, 11:30, 12 o'clock.
I would vote for after.
I would vote for after, and I would give the opportunity to have a little lunch in between.
For my town park, I'm the only town park member. I gotta get my Christmas shopping. So what's that? Should I say 12 o'clock? Is that good? What time is good for everybody? Are we good? 12 o'clock?
Should be okay.
On a Saturday.
Saturday, December 11th, I think, right?
Mr. Noto, is that considered a public meeting?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it would be a public meeting.
Has to be noticed.
That's fine. So it would be either in this room or the conference room?
Yeah. Depending on the
It's a work session, so you don't have to permit public comment, but it has to be noticed as a public meeting of the board.
Sure.
Okay.
When is the final budget due?
14th.
Well, we have the next board meeting is scheduled December 14th, and the thought was that you would be ready to approve. You actually have until December 20th, I think, by law, to approve the budget.
Yeah, but the idea is to approve it on the 14th.
Right.
At our next scheduled meeting. Good. All right. So do we need to take a vote on that? No. I'm saying, but on the vote on that.
Meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, you need to schedule.
No, we will. One second. I just want to schedule a work session so you can come listen to that as well. So
you can actually call it yourself. You don't need a vote on that.
I don't need a vote on
You
that.
can call the meeting.
All right. So we'll have a meeting on Saturday, December 11th at 12 noon. Hold on, Dave. We're going to have comments from the public. At 12 noon. To hear from the department heads on their proposals. Comments from the public, please.
This is only on the budget, right? The comments right now?
I apologize. Well, do you mind?
Go to public. We'll circle back.
Let Goldie speak, and then we'll come back.
I'm sorry to do this, but
Please.
government is supposed to represent the people. This is a public hearing on a preliminary budget, something that should have been discussed before by all levels of government, and then just not take up an hour to discuss it, and then let the people speak on a preliminary budget? Come on. One of the things that I have to tell you is I represent the village of Portchester. The village of Portchester is a low-income to a middle-income community. We are in a recession depression. We have more empty stores on the main streets than any other community that I know of in Rydtown. Okay, not only that, practically nothing in Portchester is being sold because our taxes are killing us. They're much too high. Okay, and we have a problem. We have loads of problems here. We cannot have our taxes go up. We have to have our taxes go down. We have more off the tax rolls than any other village our size in the county of Westchester. As far as I'm concerned, we are the poorest community in Westchester County. We're being a low-income to a middle-income community. Take a look at everything. What is being sold in Portchester? And everything is up too high. It's assessed too high in Portchester. We have a lot of people have lost their jobs that are working maybe 2 or 3 jobs to make things go in the village of Portchester. There are a lot of problems here. I don't even know when you talk about Rydtown Park, what park are you talking about? Is it Oakland Beach or is it Crawford Park? If it's Crawford Park and you want to get it privatized, why don't you offer it to Rye Brook first? Because it's in the village of Rye Brook. And Rye Brook should take care of it. Oakland Beach is something else. But it's not Rye Town Park. It's Rye Town Oakland Beach Park or Rye Town Crawford Park. Crawford Park. But you're not doing that. You're not doing that. The people have the right to speak out on anything that's going to affect their taxes. And that's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. You've got to take into consideration that you represent a lot of elitist communities, not the village of Portchester. And that is a big problem. The board is practically all Rye Brook. Is that fair to the village of Portchester? No, it isn't. Because each one of you take care of your community and not the entire Rye Town. So I'm sorry, that's the way I look at it. There are other things I will bring up in the public comments, but this is on the budget. Okay? Remember, it's a preliminary budget, and you represent all of the people in Rye Town. And you represent the people of Portchester, and Portchester is the lowest and the poorest. So remember that.
Goldie, the one you mentioned taxes. Are you aware that we're reducing taxes?
Reducing taxes to whom? To whom? To Rye Brook?
No.
To the village of Mamaroneck? Whom are you reducing taxes?
To all the constituents in the town of Rye.
In the town of Rye, there are several communities, but everything is different in each community. What are you doing for the village of Portchester? Not just Rye Brook or Mamaroneck or wherever.
We're reducing. Just to be clear, we're reducing the taxes for each of the communities we serve.
But the assessments are too high in the village of Portchester, especially now in the recession depression. They're too high. So I don't care how much you reduce. It's based on the assessments, and the assessments are much too high in the village of Portchester. And that's where the problem is.
Thank you. Other comments from the public? Please, Eleanor.
Eleanor Herman, Rye Brook. This I just read the Westmore News, November 18th, on the Rye Town's plans for taxes.
Sorry, Eleanor, could you speak up a bit? I apologize.
Rye Town taxes set to drop 14%, and there's a $3.64 million budget. Spending will be cut spending by $190,569. And the percentage will go from per thousand 0.069 per thousand to 0.058. So I'm just trying to see if I understand this. So if a house is assessed for, say, $525,000, which might be kind of a middle range, that at the end of the year, that person would pay $36.23. Now, with the great reduction at 0.058, that household would then pay $30.45, so they would save $5.78. Did I do my math?
I think that sounds about...
That would be a house, right? And then if there was a $2 million building, it would be about $20, this company. So who are we helping here? Are we helping the residents? Are we helping small businesses? Who are we helping with this?
Well, I think your numbers are broadly correct. The town of Rye budget is a very small budget. We're $3.5 million. The taxes we're proposing for this year are about just under $400,000. So we're reducing taxes, but
But it's significant because that money that you're saving.
Eleanor, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it would be
$190,569 that you'd be saving. You could be getting some help in the park because I represent Friends of Crawford Park this evening. This year has been a bad year. There was storm damage, but there was also such a dismal amount of help that we could not advance with our projects. We collected $3,000 especially to replace trees that went down in the storm. We couldn't count on any help for watering the trees that we did put in. And now there's a person that's been fired on the park staff and not to be replaced. I understand you're going to privatize, and that's, I don't know, it's a shock to me to hear that. But I don't see where your priorities are right, because your tax cut you've got another purpose for it. It's certainly not to help the average businessman or resident.
Well, there's a couple of answers to that. You're absolutely right. We could eliminate the town tax, and it would not have any material impact on the tax burden of the taxpayers in the town of Rice. That's the first point. Second point, I would disagree with you. I think we worked very hard to make Crawford Park as nice a park as we could. I don't think we've skimped on expenditures there. We've actually overspent the budget this year by, I think, $40,000 to accommodate the trees that went down. Now, if there's a problem, if you're not getting the support from Friends of Crawford Park that you should be from the town, I want to know that, and we need to change that. I know, Mr. Nowotnik, I think you go to virtually all the Friends of Crawford Park meetings, and I haven't heard from anybody from Crawford Park that you haven't been getting the support you need. But if you're not, it's not a question of money. It's a question, if you're not getting the support you need with the personnel we have in place, then we need to do something better, and I'd like to know that.
Yeah, Bishop has attended all of our meetings, and we've been talking about these things all around, and it's a problem on both ends, I think. But we haven't. There's very little personnel at the park at any given time, and they weren't doing watering. They'll do mowing. They weren't doing mowing. They weren't doing watering. They weren't doing mulching, and some of the details that you have to do when you have new plantings. So.
Well, can I suggest something? I don't know when the next Crawford Park meeting is, but I'd like to go there or have a meeting with yourself and Laura Klein and Bishop, and if there are shortcomings, let's find out what they are and let's improve them. Please.
One thing we might consider is that if we have a rationalization of the fee structure, that perhaps we could use that as to some degree a dedicated source of revenue towards special projects at Crawford Park, especially, for example, watering. To an extent, the more money we're able to take in from a more rational fee structure, there might be more funds available without, further burdening the taxpayer to maintain Crawford Park to a more enhanced degree.
Well, anything that works, because things are not working all that well right now. I hear you saying that the park has to pay for itself, but it is a public. It's owned by the public, and I don't think it has to run in the black. That's my opinion.
Can I just make one comment?
Please.
The privatization, that's not a decision. I think they were exploring whether or not it makes sense from a financial standpoint, but no decision has been made about privatization. I think they're going to do an analysis and put out an RFP and see and there would be a extensive public hearing process before that decision was made. So I didn't want anyone to, please don't leave here thinking they're privatizing Crawford Park. That's not the case. They're just looking into all possibilities, and if it gets to a point where they think it's an idea that's worth of public exploration, there'll be a meeting, I'm sure, with your group first, but then there would be public hearings and discussions about it as well.
But look, again, the other thing is, just to be clear, virtually every year we have a budget meeting. Someone from the Friends comes and says we're not spending enough money. The issue isn't the money. If the issue is to sit down. If there's particular projects or particular actions like you're saying, the watering that's not getting done, we need to know that.
Yeah.
And we'll comment. The goal is to make the park as beautiful and as lovely as possible. And if we're not achieving that, then we should know. And I haven't been getting that feedback, but let's sit down and find that out.
We, Laura Klein and I and other people that are in our inner circle would be happy to meet with you and Bishop to
Terrific.
go over details. We're not meeting anymore as a group. We're not meeting this year anymore. Next meeting is going to be in the middle of January sometime. But
Good. Well, Bishop, if you, I'd love to organize that meeting. Thank you. Yep.
Mrs. Herman, I also want to make you and the public aware, we're going to discuss this further